So in a retreat and in life in general, how do we keep going? How do we sustain authenticity, feeling of being with and purposeful? Purpose that isn't too goal-oriented or too, I've got to have this, I've got to make that, but just a sense of meaning and purpose of purification, purpose of meeting conditions that arise and understanding the power of the asava, the outflows, becoming, the personal urges, the perceptions that arise, the reflex occurrences that happen for us. We feel shut down or pushed forward or spun round or ground's not steady or what am I supposed to be, where's the future, where am I going, and the energies don't feel steady, whatever it is. And this is the territory you meet, karmic field, territory you meet. Your territory that you have to move through rather than away from. It's called the real world. And people think the real world is, out there, world of politics and economics and sport and geography. How real is that? The real world's the one you wake up with and live with, breathe in and out, is filling your heart. With its conflicting currents, karmic field, things we've inherited, habits, perceptions we acquired or believed in or got stuck with. And also the urge to create more of it. Let me create a nice place where I can be, where I want it to be. Create another world. Well, this is how do we move through this territory? Realizing there isn't another world. There's this world you're in, and the other world is not, it's the release from that. Otherwise it's just the same thing with different wallpaper, different furnishings, with the same person at the centre of it. And it's releasing the person from the world rather than, abolishing the world is the project, which makes it kind of simple but pretty taxing. And really, the world of what does that mean? I mean, people, situations, obligations, changes of temperature, things being favourable, things being unfavourable, smoothly snarled up. Understandings, misunderstandings, get all that cleared up. Well, let me know when you get it. I'll have one of those. But perhaps more immediately is to release the person, citta, if you like, from the person who's embedded in that. This is to do with volition, is a big part of that. Cetana, bhikkhave, aham is karma. Cetana, volition is karma. The impulse energy. This is the agent that generates the world, moves us in, engages. And so wish to be, to have, to make, to get rid of. Just moderating that. Wait, pause. This doesn't mean you can't do anything anymore. Really. It means that has to be carefully moderated, because there are different kinds of it. Yeah. And clearly the Buddha was someone who had considerable amount of volition to do things, to teach, to help, to move around, to set up structures for practice. So it wasn't that he didn't have any, but perhaps he didn't have a person sitting behind it. Perhaps it's just the why, wisdom responding, wisdom, compassion responding to not to an inner person, but to a situation. Buddha knows the world. So very simply speaking, if we, as a general measure, you contemplate what's the world you're in, and there are several of them. You can, if you open your eyes, you're in a building, room, people, okay? How do I moderate according to that? What's the proper intention according to that? Room full of people, sitting quietly, still. The first thing is I'm aware of it. And I'm part of that. Whole picture, I'm part of that. It's a sense of harmony. Since I'm part of it, I'm in it. Best thing to stop suffering is to be in harmony with it, rather than conflict with it. What's needed for that to happen? You sit there, finding that place. There's generally some quality of goodwill arises. At least bad will doesn't arise. That's not going to do it, is it? Ill will can be anything from dislike to mistrust to fear to feeling lessened, belittled. I don't count. That's ill will. I'm the worst person here, that's ill will. I'm not welcome, that's ill will. So the harm is very deep, because you really flush out these strands of ill will that can be accumulated through past karma, where you weren't welcome, indeed. Where you were subject to various kinds of abuse or so on. And it's the goodwill or the non-ill will, the abolition of these forms of ill will is very thorough. So in the chant we have, it's called here, there, everywhere. We translate it to others as to myself, which isn't exactly what it says, but it's not bad. The general phrase is just like a thorough flushing out of the whole field of experience, including the perceptions in the mind, feeling inadequate, all that sort of stuff. That's ill will. It's not goodwill, is it? And you can find that quality of ill will can be buried under, sort of suppression of oneself, or suppression of one's behaviour, feeling nervous, feeling self-conscious, this kind of thing. It goes quite deep, something wrong with you. So, this is a reflex, it's not a wise assessment, it's a reflex flash that happens, self-conscious. With a tinge of this, good enough in it. This is quite normal because, of course, in many group situations there is a lot of competition who's top, who's best. Do you fit in? Otherwise you'll be thrown out. And yeah, you can read that in Sangha life too. There's a possibility to experience that. I can understand that. But even if that is the case, do you need to keep that message running to yourself? As the Buddha said, we live happily amongst those who dislike us. So even if people don't like you, is it absolutely necessary that you take that as a truth and print it on your own heart? You are unlikable, there's something wrong with you. Or could it be that at this time they don't really understand me, or, they're in a difficult position. Who knows? But why don't we take the worst possibility and believe it? This isn't a decision, it's a reflex. To take the worst option and jump on it. The worst option, something wrong with me. And then, of course, once you get that, you can add the statistics. I'm the odd one out because I'm whatever, There's always something different about any one of us. Therefore I don't fit. Yeah, but none of us fit. We're all the odd one out on one level. You're either bigger or smaller or, So there's that reflex of oddness, not fitting, not comfortable, got to be more than I am in order to be okay. Therefore I better do something really strong to make sure I'll be okay, good enough. That sort of sits somewhere under the back of the mind, pushing it to achieve something, to be okay, because you're not okay. This is ill will. And it's not a decision. It's a reflex. So with that we get the current of bhava. I want to become something that is good enough. Or vibhava, I want to get out of here. I want to get up somewhere where I won't be judged, seen, known, measured, feeling inadequate. Go somewhere else. Vibhava, get out. And one can spend a life or a considerable amount of time following those currents. And sure, there's room to move, but do you want to move on the ground of ill will? Once you've located that creature, the inner critic, once you've located that creature, do you want to follow their orders and their perceptions? When anybody else likes, wants, approves of you or not, that's their business, isn't it? Do you want to follow that negativity in your mind? To run away, to get out, to make something else. So what's our volition based upon? Survival. Get me out of here, somewhere I can be more. That's reasonable enough, it seems to me, on level. But it doesn't work because we're still taking the same paradigm wherever we go. I spent years doing this. As soon as I get somewhere, I want to get out. Travelling, get somewhere, get out. That to me was the joy called freedom. I could get out. I could, live 6 months somewhere and then get out. 3 months, get out. It got down to the point where it was like a week and I can get out. Something says, you need to stop getting out. Yeah. And I get so monastery, which literally said, you know, when you want to go, that's fine. Stay for a week, 10 days, that's fine. They weren't knocking the door. But it was a feeling, something the heart says, no, it's to stop. Stop. No, stop, it's penetrate. And still I get those quite a lot of times. How do I stand another day of this? Sitting in my little kuti on my own, nobody to talk to. Day in, day out, nothing to do. Yeah. No friends. Alone. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Feeling hot, sweating, sitting here trying to control my mind. How do I get out of this? How long am I going to stand in this for? And that feeling of imprisoned. And sit in that prison state. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. It's a little message, you know. You can do that. Yeah. And just steady. And there was this kind of interest in it. People wanted to become a bhikkhu. I wasn't particularly driven to it because to me it was another lock. And really I did it because a lot of other people wanted it. I felt grateful. My mind widened to the sense of the whole community, and they often said it was all these lay upasika, female supporters of the monastery were very keen to sponsor a monk. And I felt very moved by them, their dedication, commitment, generosity, and they come and meditate, keep precepts, and I thought, you know, make them happy, I'll do that. Then of course, you know, I could always leave after a month or two, and you know, they don't, you know, they said, you can go, okay, you know, whatever you want, okay, I'll do it then. So it's interesting that the movement was actually a sense of widening. I never thought of it this way, just the whole picture rather than myself. I got the whole picture, however accurate it was, that was my reality. Oh, okay, well, let's go with the goodwill. And, you know, I can leave when I want. I'm still in this kuti, and then this thought would come up, no more fun for the rest of your life. No more friendship for the rest of your life. No going anywhere for the rest of your life. No playing with the dog in the park for the rest of your life. No having a cup of coffee, listening to music for the rest of your life. Like innocent things, you know. I sort of start to sweat. It's just okay, it's just a thought, just breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing in. Whenever you want, you can go, let's move this one. Tomorrow's another day, you know, just take it, just move through the panic. Yeah, whenever I want, I can go. Breathing in, breathing out, yeah, okay, remember that. Okay. And the kuti was in, the kutis are very close together in this monastery, and the next kuti is about 3 meters away, a little box, and this old monk lived in it, and he was old, he was in a pretty bad state, looked to me. And occasionally he'd get outside and you'd see him, he'd walk around his kuti just about holding onto the wall of his kuti with one hand, and a stick with the other hand, kind of creeping along, crawling along around his kuti. Took him about half an hour to get round his kuti, just tottering. I looked out at him. That's where I'm going. God, I'm only 26, I'm a young bloke. I was with myself withering at the thought of it. Eventually they come and give him a drip feed occasionally and perk him up. I thought, oh my God, this is a death row. Breathing in, breathing out. Go when you want, you can leave when you want, just breathing in, breathing out. Let's get through that. You know, that sense of so much. It didn't know what to do. The chitta didn't know what, facing these perceptions, you just panic and jump. What it did know was panic and jump is not the way to go. It knew enough about that. And it knew enough about breathing in, just enough about breathing in, breathing out. Go when you want. You can go when you want. Really, it's up to you. It's your life. Okay, so where are you going to go? Well, I could go and did that already. I could start. Yeah, you did that already. But maybe I'll go and think, oh, she's dead. Oh, yeah, we had a rough time with her anyway. You know, that one fell apart, didn't it? I could. Fantasies. Breathing in, breathing out. Here you are. Ground. Take it easy. And then eventually, kind of realization, I think you better start being nice to yourself. I think you better start having a little bit of kindness towards yourself. This chitta is not in good state. And just a little bit kinder. Didn't change that much in some ways, still in the boot box, still silent, still no companion, still nothing to do, but just a slight shift of where the chitta was coming from. Let's just get through this without the fear, without the panic, without the final black and white statements. Let's just keep things soft. Breathing in, breathing out. Then breathing in, breathing out started to soften. It was no longer like a metronome. You know, in, breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out, breath, whoop, back to lip, in, breath out, breath, whoop, stop, back to lip, breath out, breath, back to your nose, in, breath out, breath. And stop doing that. It was just like, oh, breathing out. Breathing in, fluid, flowing. Oh, that changes everything. Suddenly we're no longer in a world with hard walls, fixed points, fixed trajectories, only one option, points, deadlines, goals, fixed positions. We're in a world that's actually quite soft and flexible. And it's centered around breathing in, breathing out, body, absence of ill will, absence of fear, absence of, you've got to, absence of dread. Actually, look, it's a very nice place. I mean, actually, people are supporting, generous, give me a place to stay, foreigner in their own country. Pretty nice place. I mean, it's no longer a prison. Well, perhaps that's putting it too dramatically, but actually the world began to change. Because it was no longer constellated around a certain set of parameters, which were based upon me getting my way. That's what it seemed like, which I'd always angled for. Not generally a reasonably polite way, but I'm doing this, I'm going there, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm going to do this, I'll buy that, I'll get that, I'll go here, I'll go there. I'm a free person. Do what I want. That seemed the reasonable set of values to follow, based upon the free person, who is actually not free, because they're bound to the restlessness of becoming. something and getting away from things, and getting into things and getting away from things. They're bound to that. They're not free at all. And in that world of being bound, they've got to constantly consume new things, travel to different places, and so on and so on and so on. It's a need system which is veiled under the mask of it's my right to have what I want. I'm a free person, my right to have what I want. Who gave you that right? Where did that come from? These are kind of often pieces of mythology that are even collectively avowed. Freedom of the individual, the right to happiness. Where did this right come from? Where does the person come from? Probably a completely unexamined question. The person with the will, where does she or he arise? It's really okay. Well, the technical term is this is clinging. Clinging to the aggregates. Of course, a piece of jargon that can go down well in Main Street, but okay, put it another way. Separation from the loved is suffering. Association with the disliked is suffering. Not getting what you want is suffering. Do you get that? Notice that? Isn't that bound up with the person? Not getting what they want. Separated from what they like. Isn't that bound up inevitably with the person? Where's the way out of that lock, that prison? It's not going to be a travel agent, it's not going to be an airplane. It's not going to be in some nice apartment. So, what kind of will keeps us going when it seems that the normal avenues of will to get what I want, to get away from what I don't want, and so on, are being seen as unfeasible, unattainable? What happens to that will? Well, it transmutes. As I said, simply speaking, expand the awareness to the whole world, which can be just the world of your body. When your eyes are closed, you're sitting still, maybe that's your world. Or it could be the world of your fellow people, situation, what you feel connected to, and just widen those connections or review the different worlds that arise within your attention field as your attention changes. The recommendation is to flex your attention, don't get too obsessive about particular points, but here's the whole room, here's the wider sense of the community, the lay community, qualities, experience that we belong to, have connections to, we're affiliated to. So widen to include that, take that in, and let's not have ill will in there. Let's not say, oh, they don't count, something those people, don't matter about that. That's called lack of compassion. It's only lay people, it doesn't matter. Callous. The whole world, everything you're connected to, there'll be none of that dismissiveness, indifference, insensitivity, into, and towards oneself, or one's apparent self, the centre of it. So let that person not feel, heavily overburdened by it all. That can come up, certainly in my mind. I think I've got to try to make it work for everyone in my world. And as well as one person, what about this one? So I have to kind of moderate that myself, because I know a lot of people, a lot of situations that give me a sense of, connection, concern. And to think, but, these aggregates are saying, like, you're 70 years old. You're not going to cover it all. So that sense of the impotence that one can experience, not for myself, but the inability to really feel you can fully, support others. That's ill will too. Equanimity then. You do what you can. Bring forth what's possible. Survey the world with that. And recognizing, people have got their own capacities. You're not God. Mudita, may they be with them, find their own strengths and ways, encouragement. So this is the way I contemplate. To avoid these tendencies to feel either impotent or overburdened or unimportant or overimportant, narcissistic, and go my way, controlling, or collapse, who cares anyway. These are very significant suffusions. My recommendation, my own recommendation, as it is your first things you widen to include the world as it is now, the world you're connected to now, however it is for you, and release any degree of fear, perfectionism, obligation, self-definition within that. Be aware of that. Just keep working on that. Because there is a citta, a heart, that is often given away to the identity. The heart is an affective, sensitive. Its nature is reflective, sympathetic. It also has awareness. We tend to give that away into being a person. Trying to be good and right for everybody and so on. And be a good person. But actually, better to be an authentic citta and see what comes out of that. As most of our personality is moulded by social forces that are quite questionable. Perfectionism, competition, approval, disapproval, the whole dynamics, social dynamics, gender politics, this kind of stuff. Be authentic citta and no ill will. You see in this chant we do, all the qualities metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha are described in the same way: abundant, exalted, free from hatred and ill will, direct malevolence, or the sense of the hostility of others. That shadow, other people don't like me, I've got to be better. Cramped, restricted. And the Tathagata is said to be one who dwells with unrestricted citta, unrestricted by the aggregates, unrestricted by defilement, suffering, aging, sickness and death. Living in the presence of all that, unrestricted by it. Tathagata surveys the entire world with a mind of compassion. I mean, it's only very straight instruction, isn't it? He's not thinking, what should I do to make things work for everyone? He just surveys the world with a mind. With that, drops the person, just lets the heart open, and then see what particular qualities, intentions can arise. Some people jump too quickly to see a problem, try to fix it, see something wrong, try and fix it, which is, good. But what about seeing something, checking in with the whole picture? Perhaps, no, it's going to change. And this gentle quality called suffusing rather than jumping occurs. The jump of volition, I recommend you be quite cautious about. There's a suffusion which is much softer, something like mist, steam, mist, just sound, resonance is moving through the heart. And then see what comes out of that. As it's described in the Metta Sutta, pervading the entire world, suffusing the entire world. Suffusion, not jumping out, fixing everything in the entire world, throwing metta in all directions, but suffusing the entirety with a sense of no crampedness here, no despair here, no cynicism here, no bitterness here, no weight and pressure here. Just gentle, loving quality, sympathetic quality. And then we see what can crystallize out of that. And this is very, very different from the normal worldly ways. But in that you don't burn out, because all that stuff, all that qualities are supporting your own system, perceptions, mind, feelings, and so forth. All the aggregates are actually gently massaged with that. And that's how you keep going. That's how you keep, otherwise you get worn out, your willpower gets worn out after a while. Yeah. Your strategies and ideals get worn out, if they ever get going. You'd say the word like keeping an impeccable standard of vinaya to this monk, and he would collapse under the notion. Because immediately, I had an impeccable standard of vinaya. Oh no. Well, you're keeping it already. As soon as you say something like excellent, we feel immediately that the trajectory not being good enough, we push the idea upwards, beyond our reach. And this is a piece of embedded ill will. To be a good monk or nun, you have to be, and you throw this idea up that you can't reach, and then you dump yourself with ill will again. You are already. Congratulations. So it's the mudita thing, like, congratulations, you're a samana, fantastic. Wonderful. No, I should be. I had a monk disrobed. He was a 30 rasa monk. He disrobed because he could no longer bear the idea of not being an arahant. Felt complete fake. He couldn't meet people because he didn't feel he was an arahant, an Aryan, so it was a complete disaster. Because he'd so fall into that. People were very happy, didn't have to be an arahant. This is ill will. And it's not a decision, it's a reflex, and you have to understand the bhava, vibhava currents. Most traumatic effect. You keep going because you meet the tides. of the world that are happening anyway. Your world is happening anyway. So to meet it authentically without running away or closing down or jumping off, you've got to meet it. So open to it and breathing in, breathing out. No pressure, no obligation, no compulsion. Yeah, and the world changes its face if you do that. Suddenly the trap, the stuck, begins to shift because it was never there externally. It was here in your own unawakened psychologies. But reflect upon it while we say, the cetasa in the Pali chanting, vitasakatina cetasa, with a volition, with a heart, imbued with goodwill, suffusing the entire world. This gentle quality in the chant, deepening into calm, suffusing the entire body, pervading the entire body. So not one part of one's felt body that's not saturated with the agreeable quality, free from, disengaged from discordant, afflicted mind states. So this is a kind of agreeable condition that leads to liberation. And this should be your ground, your reference point to return to when you're living in the world. And it's as simple as this. Breathing in, breathing out. No ill will. No cramping. No pressure. Because you are breathing in and out. Because it keeps going, you keep going. But if you jump on some other vehicle, liability is it's going to go off track and there's going to be some kind of crash. So let's continue breathing in, breathing out, and take it into silence.